Hello. Here's some reading practice from a website called crooksandliars.com. And beginning practice, the title of this article is Minuteman May Be Gone, but border militia men are still on prowl. I'm sorry, let me read that again. Minutemen may be gone, but border militiamen are still on the prowl by David Neiwert. And he made this article on 9/28/13 at 11:30 a.m. And there's a nice movie here from Channel 5 News. It says border militia cells still patrolling desert in Arizona. Okay, so here we go. Even though it has been more than 3 years since the National Militiamen organization based in Arizona and run by movement co-founder Chris Simcox shuttered its operations there, and still would be vigilant militiamen out patrolling the Arizona desert on the lookout for illegal border crossers. And because they are smaller cells and increasingly radical, they are proving to be a real problem. Most recently, one of these militiamen made headlines when he got into an armed confrontation with a Maricopa County Sheriff's deputy. This was especially noteworthy since Sheriff Joe Arpaio, a well-known nativist figure himself, made a point of denouncing the vigilantism of the border watchers. The border watcher movement has significantly dropped in popularity in the recent years, largely due to the murders of an Arivaca man and his 9-year-old daughter by movement leader Shawnee Ford in 2009, as well as the lethal rampage of one-time border watch organization J.T. Reddy in 2012, and capped off by Simcox's recent arrest on charges of child molestation. Nonetheless, they have come creeping back along the fringes in the form of small cells that do not attempt to answer to a national movement and are freer to become much more radical than the Minutemen, who, in contrast, aspired to appear mainstream and often vowed to weed out criminals and extremists. Though the case of Shauna Ford, who would emerge had a long and prolific criminal record, and Chris Simcox, who had previously been accused of molesting a child had but never charged, make clear that was never really the case. The new border militia makes similar vows, but also do not pretend to be a mere neighborhood watch, calling in violations to the Border Patrol, as the Minutemen did. They are drawing down on people they confront in the desert, as the clash with the deputies demonstrated. The militias are also raising the level of fear and concern among people who do humanitarian work alongside the borders. Juanita Molina of the Border Action Network in Tucson described the Hate Watch a milieu in certain areas of the border where deaths have been occurring and harassment and vandalization by militiamen. Molina also volunteered for the humanitarian group's Humane Borders, which puts out water stations in areas of the desert where migrants are crossing and the highest incidence of deaths, most of them related to dehydration, have been occurring. The issues with militias out in the desert itself are significant, Molina said. Most recently, there have been a series of deaths that have occurred in the Gila Bend area. And although humanitarian groups and law enforcement are very concerned about the area and can see that there have been an increase in deaths, unfortunately there has been such a severe problem with the militia that humanitarian groups and law enforcement have had concerns about patrolling and even entering certain areas of the desert. Molina said that she and her workers encounter everyday attitudes among militia groups that are uniformly hostile and violent. It's not uncommon for us to receive threats or have our offices, our trucks, our water stations vandalized, stabbed, shot, she said. We live with this violence every day. A TV crew from KPHO TV in Phoenix recently went out with one of these militia crews and filmed them in action in the desert, as well as at a recruitment gathering. The militiamen insisted on anonymity, anonymity, dubbing themselves such monikers as Reaper and Raptor, but insisted that they were only out to perform a public service. We're here to protect our community first and foremost, protect our state second, and in doing so, that also means curbing the flow of drugs into our cities, the man dubbed Reaper told the reporters. This militia is being operated by a former California Minuteman named Robert Crooks, who has since removed himself to Arizona, as did Simcox and his colleagues. Crooks insisted to the KPHO reporters that he wants to change the way militias are viewed, and claimed he doesn't accept felons or racists. He also dismissed the confrontation between militiamen from his crew and the Maricopa County Sheriff's deputy. In reality, it was just the fog of war, said Crooks, adding that he is trying to cut down on drug smuggling through the Vicol Valley. I've been shot at 23 times in 24 months, he said. The man dubbed Reaper also described for the reporters how the group allows for military contractors, a number of whom showed up for a recruitment meeting, including some active duty, to participate without officially joining so that the contractors can get around government prohibitions against joining militias. So, we have run arounds that will legally allow for membership without the membership, said Reaper. So you'll pass your polygraph and everyone can sleep at night. Crooks, who goes by the nom de guerre Little Dog, has a colorful history as a Minuteman. He got his start running border watches in the Campo, California area for movement co-founder Jim Gilchrist and his Minuteman project. He was described, though misidentified, as Robert Crook in a 2006 New York Times piece about vigilante border watchers. The piece profiled a border watcher named Britt Craig, who appeared to be running a completely solo operation outside of Campo. This probably would not be exceptional, except that Craig refused to recognize the leadership of the Campo unit in Gilchrist's Minutemen project, namely Robert Crooks, who so openly and aggressively insulted Craig on emails to his charges, calling him, among other things, a swine who lives in a cat box. This that it eventually came to fisticuffs on the main street in Campo. Craig broke Crook's Craig broke Crook's glasses after the man refused to apologize for the insults. Crooks had a falling out with Gilchrist a year later and formed his own outfit, calling it the Mountain Minutemen. Crooks sent Gilchrist a taunting email telling him he was a weakling and who could talk the talk but not walk the walk. Attached was a video shot through a night vision scope watching two or three men in the distance atop a hill. On the other side of the barbed wire fence, surveying the ground. All right, come on across, motherfuckers. A man said quietly off camera. Yeah, go that way. I dare you to go that way. That's my fucking trail, bitch. He keeps muttering for several minutes, calling his targets cockroaches. Then he shouts out, "Hey, putos, faggots. 1, 2, 3, followed by a chambering sound of a shotgun shell, then a blast and a flash. The video shows how to keep a Home Depot parking lot empty, Crooks told Gilchrist, whose Minuteman project had earlier provoked Crooks's group with supplies. Gilchrist, whose Minuteman project had earlier provided Crooks's group with supplies, responded by banning Crooks from contact with his own group. When asked by reporters, Crooks denied being the shooter in the video. A week later, a second video featuring the same night scope and the same shooter surfaced, and it was far more disturbing because it purported to show the actual shooting of a border crosser with a backpack. Again, Crooks later admitted that the shooting was faked. Cross posted at Hate Watch, Arizona Border Immigrant Rights, Immigration, Minutemen, Nativists. Okay. So that's some stuff, man. That's some stuff. So that was an interesting article. Minutemen may be gone, but border militiamen are still on the prowl, by David Neiwert. That's it for now. Thank you for reading along with me, and have a nice day.